Well, welcome to another edition of On Point Live right here from the Manhattan Beach Studios. Hello, everybody. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams quarterback. Alongside me is 20-year NFL legend, Hall of Famer, Jackie Slater. And Jackie, we first got to talk about week 2 of the preseason in the NFL. Some of the games that really stuck out in my mind, obviously, was the Chiefs played the Cardinals, Jackie, 38-10. They blew them out. But, Jackie, the way they did it, 4 quarterbacks, all quarterbacks.
How many starting quarterbacks do they have?
Well, you know they have Patrick Mahomes, right?
I know that, but all the rest of them, everybody played well.
Everybody was quarterback rating over 100.
Unbelievable.
That's like unheard of.
It never happened before.
Guess how many receivers caught passes in this game?
10?
17.
17.
So, you're evaluating talent in the preseason, Jackie. Wow, do they have talent? And is it coaching? I guess it is. Yeah. I mean, all these guys are still blowing teams out.
Well, I don't think they're going to miss Eric Bieniemy that much. Matt Nagy seems to.
I don't know. He's
threw
doing
it another gear, it
yeah,
seems.
They just keep rolling. Well, Jackie, here's another game. You like the Chargers. Of course, let's not talk about Chargers. We'll talk about them later. But you also like the Cowboys, but they got beat by the Seahawks, 22-14, Jackie. The Seahawks are for real, Jackie.
The Seahawks are for real, and I'm telling you right now.
They're looking good.
I'm telling you right now. That coach, Pete Carroll, and he said it when we had the interview. He is excited about the team that he has now. He has some very unique players, and he rebuilt his defense, man. He's got an edge guy up there named Mafi, a guy that they drafted in the second round in 22, who just took over the game. The guy rushed the passer.
He's an outside linebacker.
He's outside, number 53.
This guy's big.
He's tall guy, maybe about 240, something like that.
No, he's 260 pounds. That's what
yeah, something like that. But he's an edge that can cover. He can rush the passer. He can play man-man. He can do just about everything. And he just almost dominated the game single-handedly. They interviewed him after the game, and I'm thinking, where did this guy come from? He's just another defensive stalwart that Pete Carroll has that unique ability to go out and find. And boy, he's going to be special. I'm looking forward to watching him play this year. We'll get to see him at least twice.
Their offense, their new running back from UCLA, Zach Charbonnet.
You liked him from the very start. You liked him when he was at UCLA.
They had a total of 141 yards rushing, Jackie, but also you've got the quarterback, Geno Smith, still completing deep balls.
Deep balls.
It was just simple. Simple for him.
It's easy. And Vince, you remember last year, I think it was over half of his touchdowns that he threw were deep balls. I mean, he can throw the football accurately down the field as well as anybody that's playing the game right now.
Well, they're doing it. The 49ers win a squeaky game, Jackie, at home. They beat the Broncos. Broncos play pretty good.
They play pretty good.
Broncos are playing 21-20. They beat them on the last drive with a field goal.
Right. And that quarterback, he's coming back. They really he's doing a good job getting the quarterback back on track, getting Russell back on track in Denver. And I saw him break out of the pocket and be Russell.
Comfortable.
He threw the ball well. Right. He broke out of the pocket. He made plays with his legs. He looked like Russell Wilson, and that's what we talked about. We said that it was going to take a coach like Peyton to come in there and work with this guy and get him back to being himself, support him everywhere else in the run game, great protection and all that. But when things break down, then he can be Russell Wilson, and that's what I saw.
Well, our Ram fans will see him this coming week because the Rams will play Denver in Denver for their last preseason game. But Jackie, they did play all 3 quarterbacks, the 49ers. Trey Lance looked pretty good through the 1 interception, was kind of a mental error for him. So these things he's got to really shore up. And with Kyle Shanahan, they won't want that to continue. No. And Sam Darnold played pretty well, Jackie. Then you had Brock Purdy starting that game.
Mr. Irrelevant. What about Mr. Irrelevant?
It's all back.
Mr. Irrelevant.
It's all coming together.
Mr. Irrelevant is not irrelevant anymore.
No way.
He's probably got a really good chance of being the starter when the season opens.
Hey, Jackie, the last game we got to talk about before we get to our home teams is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They played the Buffalo Bills, Jackie. They were beating them 27-0, 4 turnovers, Jackie. You know how I like Pickett. Yes. I like Kenny Pickett. And Mike Tomlin, when he makes a decision, when he's committed to something, Jackie, it all works. I'm telling you, it's working right now. Their running game is on tap. Their defense, Jack's playing lights out for them.
It really is.
Preseason.
And if there's anything that Mike Tomlin's teams are going to do consistently well, is going to be to play defense. They have some rugged linebackers. And listen, Vince, did you get a hold of number 51, Nick Herbig? Nick Herbig
Yeah.
is like being tutored by T.J. Watt. Same kind of body build, same kind of quickness, same kind of explosion and everything, and can get to the quarterback.
They're going to have play. I saw the one.
Did you see the one rush? Yeah, when he came up the field, he came up the field.
How does he do that?
I'll tell you what he did. He used his foot speed up the field about 3.5 yards, got that tackle to turn his shoulders and face the sideline, and then he just swatted him, clubbed him like he weighed 120 pounds, knocked him to the ground, went straight to the quarterback. That's great understanding of how to use a guy's momentum against him, and then how to use your quickness and speed to be able to take advantage of some of these big guys that can't move. He's an impressive guy, and I'm going to encourage everybody, take a look at Nick Herbig, number 51 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is really special.
Well, defense wins championships, right, Jackie? But also, Kenny Pickett threw a ball to this tight end, Pat Freiermuth. Okay, Jackie, 25 yards strike in the end zone, Jackie. It was perfectly delivered. It was a nice play.
And
it's only preseason, but man, these things you got to take away and say, man, these things we can build on.
Yeah, and Vince, it's not as if they're not giving Mitchell. Remember Mitchell Trubisky?
Oh, I know.
Mitchell Trubisky is there.
Good too.
And he was 10 of 13.
Yeah,
and so he did a good job for 78 yards. He did a good job. I thought he looked solid in the pockets. Certainly didn't look shaky like some of his reputation precedes him as being. Yeah. And I was really impressed. So they're doing a great job of bringing on. Matt Canada is their offensive coordinator. So he's doing a really good job of bringing these quarterbacks along. And it remains to be seen who's their starter is. I happen to think, like you, it's going to be Pickens.
Yeah, I think it's Pickett.
But if he gets hurt, if there's an issue, I don't expect the team to fall off because of the quarterback position.
No, and I think that's a great point. You got to have depth at every position, Jack, especially at quarterback as well. But we have to get into our local team now because we got to talk about the Rams and the Raiders, Jackie, in week 2. The Rams got, wouldn't say blown out, but they got beat by 17 points again for a second week in a row to the Raiders, Jackie. What's your take on this team? Come on, Jack. That's our team.
I know that's our team. And I'm dying hard with them, Vince. I'm dying hard. But when you look at some of the numbers, Vince, the numbers just don't lie. The Rams had 50 offensive plays. The Raiders had 70. The Rams had 224 yards. The Raiders had 440 yards. That's twice the output. That's 20 more opportunities to put points on the board. You can't win football games like that. And the biggest thing and the most telling thing to me about looking at these numbers right here, it says to me that you're not getting the production that you need to be getting, not only on the offensive line, but on the defensive line as well. Because if the defensive line was doing their job, then you don't have all of these yards and you're getting people off the field. So
you got to stop the run, Jack.
You really have to stop the run. And Vince, that brings me to this point. After the Chargers ran for 214 yards against the Rams last week, 6.9 yards per carry, defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, he came out and he said, this was the problem. We have got to do a better job of setting the edge. And that means when they're in run formation, we got to set a hard edge and funnel the ball back into the middle of the defense where our linebackers and our big guys are standing there and can plug it up. Well,
it worked a little bit.
But Vince, listen, the thing about telling what the problems were, specifically, you got to figure your opponent are listening. So Josh McDaniel is no fool. Yeah. Josh McDaniel said, okay, they're going to work at setting the edge. How are they going to work at setting the edge against this formation? How are they going to?
I saw a play they did.
Yeah. How are they going to work at setting the edge in that formation? He goes through all those scenarios. And there was one particular play that you and I looked at that showed them setting the edge the only way they could have set the edge. And it was a destructive play for them, and they end up getting a huge play out of it. Why don't you show our fans what that looked like?
This thing up on the diagram board. Here we go, Jackie. All right, let's talk about this play. All right, let's get everything in motion here, Jackie. We gotta put this up, and we're gonna set this down here. Okay, Jackie, and we can start drawing on the board. So I'm gonna draw the formation that they used. Now,
okay.
The Raiders ran the ball. They ran 99 yards. They did it, Jackie, by just meat and potatoes up front, okay?
Right.
Okay, here they go. Look at this formation. Everybody knows this formation.
That's I formation. That's a fullback. That's a tailback. That's a run formation.
That's it. This is 3rd down and 1. They're in about the 35-yard line. Here's your X receiver out here. Okay, here's your tight end, Jackie. and here's the Z. This is Christian Wilkerson, number 83. Okay? All right. They want to set him in motion. They do a zing freeze right here, and he froze right here. This bring the corner. Now, Jackie, I'll let you diagram their intention of stopping the run. Free safety is here. Here's the corner. They had a 4-down lineman here, Jackie. They had backers here, backer here, and a backer here. Now, so that's the setup.
That's the setup.
3rd and 1, what do you expect with this formation? Run.
You expect him run. It's 3rd and 1. And this is a power formation, certainly with a lead back that can insert in there and block somebody. Okay. Now, how do you set the edge? How do you set the edge? When they brought this receiver in motion right here, I mean, it wasn't like he signaled to him to come in motion. Okay. Then he did it. He came in motion right there. So what that did was that told this safety, as he nestled up there, you set the edge right here and force everything back to the inside.
That's a good play.
But what he did not realize was that after he got over here and he paused just for a second to show him that he was going to block him, when he came barreling through, this guy trickled all the way over here and was totally uncovered, Vince, for a huge pickup. It was one of those things where you had to conclude that Josh McDaniels and his staff said, okay, they're going to be working on setting the edge this week. When we get in this formation, the only guy that can set the edge here is that safety. And when he comes down, there's going to be nobody over here.
They were hoping to set and stop the wide run. And so they figured the rest of the team would cover the interior run play. So these guys filled the holes.
Exactly.
Okay? And so what happened here is the X ran on the post to clear. Okay, and they ran this isolation play. Isolation means the fullback was isolated on the middle linebacker. Quarterback Boyer just took the ball back, Hoyer, and he threw this guy's. No one covered him.
He was wide open.
Wide open.
And this guy certainly wasn't thinking about any, on 3rd and 1, he certainly wasn't thinking about doing anything but keeping everything contained and forced inside. It was a beautifully designed play by Josh McDaniels, one of the best offensive minds in all of pro football. Plus, he had the bulletin board material coming out of Ram camp that they had to do a better job of setting the edge.
144 ISO, Jackie, Z cross. That's it.
Basically, big play.
One-man play, one receiver play.
It was a huge play.
Well, let's clean it up, Jackie.
I'm glad we got to show that to our fans because setting the edge is something that you hear a lot of talk about, Vince. And you know, there are a lot of different ways to set it against different formations. And you have to figure that people who are focusing on setting the edge, you have to figure how are they going to set the edge against this formation and what can we do to take advantage of it. And that's exactly what Josh McDaniels and the staff up there at the Raiders did. It was beautifully designed play, I thought.
Well, that brings us to another question, Jackie. You know, we talk about the physical nature of the offensive and defensive fronts. In the first 2 weeks, it looks like, you know, the Chargers and both the Raiders kind of had the Rams number in that area. Is this physicality, is this something to be concerned with, or is it nothing to be concerned with moving forward?
Nothing to be concerned with.
Surely, the lack of physicality up front.
Surely you jest when you when you ask me that question. It is to be concerning, Vince, because if you don't, first of all, if you don't stop the run, you're not going to be able to win ball games. We've seen that all of our careers. If you don't run the ball with some consistency, you're not going to be able to win ball games. And when you look at the Rams over the last couple of weeks, they have not consistently stopped the run. They have been exposed when they tried to stop the run with certain edge, setting the edge by this strong safety right there. But the biggest problem, Vince, to me, is just the inability, for whatever reason, to put some of your best players on the field so that they can get accustomed to not only the rigors of the sport, but they can get accustomed to the plays you're going to be calling. Now, you and I concluded that Sean McVay is not going to show his hand, so a lot of the plays that they probably are planning to run, they probably won't show in the preseason. And they probably are trying to develop some of these young guys. But, I mean, there's a lot of questions as to who are going to be the starters. I mean, we don't know if Noteboom is going to be the right guard, if he's going to be the left tackle.
Yeah, see, as you're talking that, Jackie, in the preseason, you've said it in the past that, you know, for the offensive line to gel, It's a team concept. They have
It's
to
a
play
group.
together.
As a group.
They play as a group. And right now you don't know if Noboom's playing right tackle, if he's playing left guard. I mean, these guys, you would think they would shore up their positions and solidify that offensive line.
Well, you know, there's a lot of question marks right now. You know, Rob Havenstein hasn't played because he has some issue with his neck and everything. You certainly don't want to carry that into the regular season because things only get more tense, and that problem could manifest itself over and over again. And then you got Noteboom. Is he going to be the right guard? Is he going to be the left tackle? You got a Lark Jackson. I saw Lark Jackson when I went to training camp. He did a pretty good job. I was impressed with him. He's a big, tall, rangy guy. Got a good weight on him. But still, Vince, we don't know who's going to be playing. And then they lost Brush, the guy that they drafted the high pick a year ago, who was out injured all year. He hurt his ankle while he was playing right tackle. He was struggling over both these games up until he got hurt. But there hasn't been no continuity. There has been. I can remember Jack Mean, Dennis Harrer, Doug Smith, Kent Hill, Irv Pankey, Doug France, all the way across year after year after year. We went into every preseason game together. I knew Dennis Harrer. If I sneezed, Dennis Harrer he knew what was going on. It was just simple as that. So I think that kind of continuity is the thing. When I look at the Rams, it's the one thing that I think is really missing. And it's something that over this week and next week, and I like the fact that they're playing their first pick, Villa. He's doing a good job in there, big body, and he's getting accustomed to the pro game. I like that they're leaving him in there. But I mean, what about some of the other guys? The other guys that you are going to be dependent on this year to play in your offensive line need to be playing together, and that is something that I'm not seeing. And hopefully, they're somehow covering it up in a way, because McVay has had a way to get his team productive out of the chute in the run game and as an offensive line. He's had a way of doing it. I don't know what it is, but he's had a way of doing that, and I'm just going to have to bank on the fact that he knows what he's doing, and he's going to have a unit together and ready that's cohesive, that can play together real well out of the chute. Because if they don't, we're going to be looking at a long, long season.
And we're talking about something or nothing. So we have to continue our discussion with, the players that are looking forward to playing with. And you mentioned the camaraderie of players playing in the game at the same time. You have Matt Stafford and, of course, Cooper Kupp they've been held out of the first two preseason games. Jackie, what effect? I mean, as I look forward, I see this team in different areas. How is that going to affect the team? Well, first of all, is it something to be concerned with, not having those guys in the lineup? I think it kind of is something. It's kind of important. But also, what other groups have you seen been productive? I think the tight end position is becoming real productive, Jackie. We've had Davis Allen from Clemson. Okay, Jackie, he's been kind of a big deal to pay attention to, because he's really producing out there. And then you got Tyler Higbee, you got Bryce Hopkins. So these guys, I think with a 3 tight end set, I think that's something we're going to see a lot this year, Jackie. And so I think this is a position that will be productive.
I agree.
And I think they can use that to augment their running game as well as their passing game.
Absolutely, because they're bigger bodies and they can put big wood on people on the perimeters and everything, give you some edge, give you some room on the edges. So I agree with what you're saying there. They have a lot of guys, Vince, that are playing that position. The interesting thing about that is, you remember when Sean McVay was at the Washington football team, now they are called, he was the tight ends coach. Yeah. And he had, I can just see him thinking about what he could do with that position, both in the passing game, as we've seen him use Higbee, and certainly in the running game. We've seen him insert those guys on traps and whatnot in the line of scrimmage. So there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see a nice tight end package from Sean McVay.
And other guys that have been productive too in preseason so far at camp and also in the game is you've got Puka Nacua, okay, from BYU. He's been very good out there, very knowledgeable. He's coming together really well. They got Tyler Johnson,
right,
has been productive out there. And then when they get Van Jefferson back too, Jackie.
And don't forget about McCutcheon. They have high hopes. They have high hopes for him.
I mean, these guys are going to add more spice to this team, Jackie, and they're going to spread the ball around. They have to be able to spread the ball. You can't be one-dimensional.
No, you
know,
can't.
In this league, you got to be able to do it all.
And being one-dimensional, in my mind, is having everybody in the stadium, on the field, on the sidelines, aware of the fact that you're going to consistently throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. You can't.
Why wouldn't you? He's going to be open holes every time.
Well, he's going to be. There's no doubt about it. He is perhaps the most precise route runner that you and I have seen. He is excellent route runner, and he is definitely going to have to be contended with. But I mean, there's ways to take everybody out of a ball game, and if you can take this guy out of a ball game, then who do you go to? Who are the big playmakers? And you just mentioned Pakoa, Jefferson, Tutu Atwell. We didn't mention his name. Johnson, who's come on real good this preseason, and then McCutcheon. So they got some bodies. A lot of inexperience there, but they've got some bodies, and I'm looking forward to watching those guys grow and get better.
Jackie, I got to ask you about the secondary, the defensive secondary. There's a lot of depth this year with this squad. What's impressed you? What is something there? Is it something to be concerned with, or is it nothing to be concerned with?
Well, I mean, you and I talk about this all the time, Vince, and we're in agreement. You and I are in agreement that the two units that has to play with the greatest amount of cohesiveness is the offensive line and the secondary. Mm-hmm. The offensive line and the secondary have to know what each other are doing, have to know what each other are anticipating, and have to be able to anticipate and play off of one another. Mm-hmm. I think, they're young. There's no doubt about it. They got a bunch of young guys that are going to be playing together, and they're talented guys. I mean, cornerback Trey Tomlinson was taken in the 6th round. He's been playing well. He broke up some plays. Cameron McCutcheon has done okay, and Quentin Lake out of UCLA. He's been a talented guy. Been in the right place. Missed a pick last week that he had a chance to make, but it was because he was smart and he made a good read. So they got plenty of youth. They're going to have to grow these guys. And the best way to grow these guys is to do what they've been doing the last 2 weeks in the secondary, which is to put them out there and let them play, which is what they need to do with the young guys on the offensive line as well. Mm. Now, Vince, I'm going to have to ask you a question right now. Okay. Sean McVay said in 2021, there is zero chance, absolutely no chance whatsoever that he's going to play, that you will ever see Matthew Stafford take a snap in a preseason game as long as he's the head coach of the Rams. It just isn't going to happen. He did the same thing with Jared Goff. Jared Goff never played in the preseason. Yeah. So my question to you is, Vince, as a quarterback, is there a certain amount of congruency that can be developed with that quarterback out there playing, not only with the offensive line, but with the receivers? Is that a big deal, or is it not? Am I making too much of it?
Well, this is Sean McVay's standard operating procedure. Okay, don't play my starting quarterback. But around the league, you see Patrick Mahomes, you see Josh Allen.
All of these guys.
You see Jimmy Garoppolo.
All these guys.
Russell Wilson. I mean, everybody is playing.
Everybody.
Everybody. The way I look at it is, you don't have to play the entire preseason, Jackie. No, that's not the objective. You want to get to the point where you feel going into the game number 1, which is 2 weeks away. You want to be ready to go. And you feel like, okay, I'm in football shape. You can be all in the shape you can, running wind sprints, running certain plays during practice. But game type of experience, at least run 2 or 3 or 4 series. Operate, get some operational protocol.
It seems to me, Vince, that you can do that without putting that quarterback at risk.
They're not at risk.
Because Jimmy Garoppolo threw 4 passes. He was 4 for 4. Right. And then he was out of the ball game. But he had more than 4 plays. Yeah. He handed the ball off. They heard his voice on the field. I mean, you're handing the ball off, you're not going to get hurt as a quarterback in the running game. So I just, that cohesiveness, Vince, remember, Vince, I played with 21 different quarterbacks over the period of time that I played. And the best thing that happened to me was to get used to the nuances of that guy's voice. Right. If I needed to hear it in practice, but in the game situation, when I could anticipate him getting the ball in his hand quicker with the sound of his voice, those things matter. And I just think that,
you got a feel of the game. You
got a feel of the game. But you can't knock McVay. You can't say he's wrong because the guys had success.
No,
Because
exactly.
Matthew Stafford didn't play a snap
No,
2 years
that's true.
ago
They've
when they
had
went to the
success
Super Bowl
doing
and
it,
won.
But I mean, it's kind of standard operating protocol for Sean McVay, for sure. Well, Jackie, the Raiders, they averaged quite a few yards, in the game. They ran the ball for 99 yards. They were pretty productive. They might even been more than 99 yards, but.
Well, they had 440 yards altogether.
Yeah, that was a lot of yards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean,
To 224 yards.
okay, that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Big difference.
And
So let me ask you two questions.
I know what you're getting ready to ask me.
Yeah.
What's
the best thing you saw, and what's the worst thing you saw for the Rams this week?
Well, the best thing I saw was the same thing I saw last week, and that is Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, for a rookie, well, he threw a pick and he almost had another one picked, but he also did some things with his legs. He showed some mobility, which could be critical now with the way this offensive line is being developed. I think that Stetson Bennett has proven that he can play in a game and handle many of the nuances of what Sean McVay's offense. Now, Sean McVay is no dummy. This guy puts together an offense that's as sophisticated as anybody's once you get into the regular season when he starts showing his hand. So, but Stetson Bennett showed me that he's capable of handling Sean McVay's play call. So that was the very best thing that I saw. For 2 weeks in a row, this rookie quarterback came out, held his own, looked like he was in control of the situation, didn't look bothered at all, and showed me a calmness that I think if I was sitting in the huddle with this guy and looking right at him calling plays, I think the confidence would come. I would take confidence in the fact that he had control of the situation. So that was the best thing that I saw.
And I have to agree with you because I've seen his play. I've seen his improvement that he's making. Jackie, he's learning on the go.
Right.
And the only way you learn a lot of times is be thrown into the action, okay? Thrown into the fire and actually come out, smoking. So I think what he's done, he threw an interception. The one interception, people say, why did he throw that ball? Well, a lot of times the quarterback and the receiver have to be on the same page. That route looked like it was supposed to be a corner route, and the receiver probably ran a different route. He was thinking it was going to be a different route because he was anticipating the throw. Well, that stuff happens once in a while. When they get on a better page, then they'll have more comfort. There'll be a better comfort zone. But, Jackie, he didn't get flustered. He learns from it. And when you learn from your mistakes, you get better and better. And so I see this happening. And I liked his run from his scramble for a touchdown. It was really a nice run for him. And
we don't want too much of him running around,
not
Vince,
too much of that. But I think, but overall, his development and what I see is progress. He's making progress.
I agree,
and a lot of it has to do with his coaching.
I agree. There's no doubt about it.
What's the worst thing you saw?
Well, I think perhaps the worst thing that I saw, and I'd have to add this caveat to it, Aaron Donald was on the sideline. Mm-hmm. But I think the worst thing that I saw perhaps was, the way the Raiders' offensive line locked up and shut down pretty much the pass rush. Mm-hmm. I mean, I realize that they have a lot of young guys over there that are still growing and learning, to play in the defensive line and to play within Raheem Morris's scheme. But at some point in time, you got to say, well, this guy got this great move that he can put on you and beat you. And I just kept looking for some uniqueness in some of the guys. And all I ever saw consistently was meat and potato football. And meat and potato football is not going to beat a good, big, physical offensive line, who, by the way, the Raiders didn't even play their starting tackles in this ball game. Not one of them, not one of their starting right tackle nor their starting left tackle hit the field. And so when I didn't see any pressure coming off the edge, when I didn't see any consistent pressure up the middle on passing downs, that was when I got a little bit concerned because, there was a lot of yardage that was gained in the passing attack by the Raiders against the Rams secondary because there was no pass rush.
So I even texted you during the game. I go, Jackie, the quarterback looks like he has all day back there. There's nobody even close to the quarterback. And you go, well, there's no rush. Well, I think some of it had to do with their offensive production as far as being able to protect the quarterback. I think the Raiders did a really good job. So, Jackie, what I take away from the game is I look at the Raiders now a little differently than I did in my preseason prediction.
Yeah, I did too.
Because now it's looking forward. Jimmy drove the first drive all the way down the field, scored a touchdown pretty easy. I like what they're doing in the running game. Jackie, I like their offense.
I like their backup quarterback, Hoyer.
Yeah, Hoyer, or the other kid is doing really well, Jackie.
Yes.
I mean, he's doing really good. So I think, the Raiders with Josh McDaniels are turning the table. I mean, I think they're going to be a little stronger than some teams thought. And for the Raider fans out there,
got a lot to be excited about, Raider fans, because they're
running game
big, nasty guys up front on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
on both sides of the ball. And then they got some feisty guys, man. They got some guys that, they mixed it up with the Rams and while they were practicing, had a couple of skirmishes. They got some people that are dynamic and really want to be great football players. And so when you put that together with the kind of coaching that they're going to be getting, Josh McDaniels, man, there's nobody, he's second to nobody in the National Football League when it comes to orchestrating great offensive plays. And so, the Raiders, I think the sky's the limit.
Well, there's some familiarity with Jimmy Garoppolo, with the receiver.
Yeah, with Hoyer.
Also was the receiver from the Patriots that came to the Raiders now. He's playing. I mean, they have some kind of idea of what the nature of the kind of style of football they're going to be playing. So, but now the Rams looking forward, Jackie, to the last week in preseason. They're going to travel to Denver next week. By the way, I'm going to be up there at that game, Jackie. So we're going to have to do some kind of correspondence from.
We're going to have to do something.
But what are you looking for? What are the Rams? What are the three things you think you want to see from the Rams in this last preseason game?
Well, the last preseason game, most people, and I would even expect it with the Rams, to take out your starters. You really don't want to. You want them fresh going into the regular season in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And so the guys that are going to be playing are going to be guys that you're going to be making decisions on for the final roster spots as backups. Maybe one or two. They might play Big Avila, the left guard. They might play him a little bit more. And then again, they may not. But the thing that I'm going to be looking for is for those 2 or 3 guys that play well enough for you to consider putting them in the starting lineup or putting them on the active roster. That's where your roster is finalized. So, guys are, a lot of guys are going to lose their jobs after this week, and the ones who are able to step it up from what they've been doing to this point and show that, hey, I can do this, I can do that, those are the guys that are going to make the final roster. So not going to be a whole lot going on. and unfortunately, Vince, I think the Rams should be playing those young guys a whole lot more. Some of the guys they're going to be depending on. But they can't afford to risk it. They got to even take those guys out now, which in my mind makes for a longer period of development once you get into the regular season and you have to play 60, 70, sometimes 80 plays a game.
This is my take. The 3 things I'm looking for the Rams this week. I don't want this to be a waste of time. I don't want to be just waiting for the regular season to start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can stop the run, because the Broncos are going to come out and run the football, and they've been running the ball pretty good this preseason. I want to see the Rams come out and stop the run. Number 2, I'm going to see if the Rams can run the football, get more plays in the running game, get more variety going up front. And lastly, I want to see some special teams. I want to see some big plays on special teams, some punt returns, some maybe kickoff returns, punt coverage, some great plays, maybe some takeaways. Let's get some turnovers.
Defensively or offensively, great plays and special teams.
Let's start setting the table to start the season. This is the last game. They won't play a lot of the regulars, but hey, let's not lose this last week of preparation. Let's get ready for the season.
Absolutely. This is going to be a huge week for the Rams.
Yeah, so as we close for this week in this episode, we want to remind you to always subscribe to our On Point channel, On Point Live with Vince and Jackie, and also follow us on Instagram, on.point.live. So for everybody here at the Manhattan Beach Studios, we want to wait until we see you next time. So until then, stay on point.